Hello everyone, and welcome to our next lecture on data collection, where we focus on drawing tables and charts. So let's begin. Now, when it comes to this part of the research process on drawing tables and charts, now what you need to have done at this point is that the data has already been collected in the form of raw data. So you have all these numbers, you have all these, opinions and things from respondents. Now, what do we do with it? So you need to make sense of it. If you want to analyze and you want to give recommendations, you need to understand your data. So that exactly is the purpose of drawing tables and creating charts, to represent your data in a meaningful way that will help you to better understand your data. All right, so let's move into the process here. So you have the raw data, where you create a raw data table to make it more organized, more systematic, and then it should be represented in two different ways. It could be in the form of a table, all right, tabular presentation, or it could be graphical in terms of pie charts and bar graphs, and all these we will talk about in a later section. Right, so first, in terms of drawing tables. Now, tables can be used in two ways, as I've shown you earlier, right, in this picture. Tables can be used to collect and organize raw data. So it could be the raw data, you just want to organize it, right? Or it could actually represent your final data that you want to include in the report. So it could be a tabular presentation of the data that you want to talk about in your report. So the tables are to sort, to organize, to summarize, and reorganize your data. And you want to group your data by classifications in order to make comparisons. When you group them together in the form of a table, you're able to compare and you're able to understand your data better. Right, so however, in terms of a final representation, right, when you want to use it in order for you to do your analysis, that's your final representation, you may want to include lists of like subtotals or totals, averages like your mean, right, or your percentages or your frequencies and all these. So you may have the raw data and then you add in these certain information in order for you to make better sense of it. So let me just go into some features of a good table. It has to be easy to read, easy to understand, easy to refer to, especially in a report where you have a lot of writing, and it should include only relevant data from the results. Okay, so you don't have to put everything in it. You may want to include only relevant data that you want to talk about. So just a reminder here, do not use tables when you want to show trends, like how changes in time, or you want to show relationships. It's not the most suitable way to show that. You may want to use charts. Alright, so let me just go through a little bit of the parts of the table. You have the title and the column spanners, stub head, table spanner, and all. Don't worry about the names of all these. What I want you to focus on is actually the title. Right, so make sure that your table has a title. Number them according to its order that it appears in your report. So table 1, table 2, and give it a relevant or appropriate title. Right, it should have, numbered according to where it appears. You should have a table spanner. Sometimes you have a lot of data and hey, you can actually group those items together. You may want to have a small like mini title for that. Alright, so that's called a table spanner. You're grouping it together, put it morning responses, afternoon responses, that sort of thing. And finally, the table note. So you only need to have a table note when there are certain things in the table that is not clearly seen. So you may actually need to put additional notes so that it helps the reader to understand your table clearly. Right, and just a little exercise. There's a table on the left and the table on the right. Now, just look at it, at the two of them, compare them, and tell me which do you think is the better example, all right, and why you think so. So I want you to just note down which one is the better example and why, and we will discuss this further in class. All right, try for another example as well. This table on the left and the table on the right. Now, which is the better example, left or right, and why? Give some reasons that you can point out, comparisons between the two tables that tell you why this one or that the other one is the better example. And we will discuss this in class. Right, now moving on to charts. Earlier we talked about tables, right? It could be to organize your data or to be a representation. Now charts will definitely be a representation of your data. And I'm going to focus on only three types. The line chart, the column or bar chart, examples of how they look like, and the pie chart, which can also be represented by what they call now a donut chart. All right? Okay. So first of all, a line chart. Basically, a line chart is where a line connects all your data points. So you have these different data points, a line connects through all of them. Okay, so it is very suitable to show trends or changes in time, over time. So you have the changes over time, and you can see it go up and down. It shows the trend. And it also identifies whether two variables, the x and the y, these two variables, whether they're related or correlate to each other, and also to make comparisons. So that's when you use a line chart. All right, a column or a bar chart, all right, is a little bit different. Now, the height of the bars will represent the measured value or frequency that you are measuring. So the higher or the longer the bar, the greater the value. So vice versa, the smaller the bar is, the smaller the value. So the only difference between the column and the bar chart is a column chart is vertical, where it faces upwards. Okay, the bar chart is actually horizontal, where your bars, you see them horizontally. So the only difference is actually that the x and y axis between the x, okay, and the y axis between the column and the bar chart is switched. So for a column, y is here, x is here. For the bar chart, it is x here and y this way. Okay, so column and bar charts are very suitable to show relationships and to compare. All right, you can see this bar is higher than this one, so you can see comparisons, you can see relationships. And it may also show distribution, like how is your data distributed? Are there more of this particular one or more on less on this one? Especially for continuous data. For example, something that you can measure, length of something, length of people's hair, okay, like your classmates' hair in the class, right? So you have a measurement and it's continuous from 0 up to whatever, and you can see, oh, most people have longer hair, for example. So that shows the distribution if your measurement is continuous. So this is an example. So you can see, oh, there are more people on this end of the measurement, right? So that's column and bar charts. Now, pie charts you're very familiar with, I'm sure. So each segment or each sector or each piece of the pie actually represents a particular category within the whole. So you're comparing the different parts against the whole thing. It shows you the composition. So it shows you in this category, how does it compare with the entire piece of the pie? Okay, so similarly, the donut chart is the same thing as the pie chart, except that it's a concentric circle, meaning circles that are, it's a circle rather than a whole complete pie, to say, right? So that's pie chart, and that's about it. To test whether you really know which is the most suitable chart, okay, that you should use for different topics, we're going to do this little task. So determine which type of chart, whether it is a line chart or the column or bar chart or a pie chart, which includes the donut chart, suits the following topics for this particular company. Let's say ABC Sundar and Berhad, they want to find out certain things about their employees or their company. Which do you think is the most suitable type of chart to represent that kind of data? So let's just have a look. Oops, sorry. It's employees according to gender, right? Talking about gender. Distribution of the companies by age, right? Monthly sales throughout the year. The countries where its sales come from. and the annual sales of 3 different product models for the past 5 years. So which do you think is the most suitable type of chart for each of these topics? Think about it, try it out, and we'll discuss the answers in class. So that's about it, and thank you, and I'll see you in class. Bye.